What's up, you guys? Dark Knight here, back with another action figure review, and today we are continuing our look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line with none other than Batman from Batman the Animated Series. Taking a look at the packaging for here, it's pretty much the exact same thing we've seen with all the other DC Multiverse figures. You get DC Multiverse at the bottom of there along with Batman, and then at the top you get the age rating along with the nice background showing off the card along with its base, and then a bunch of other comic books throughout the ages. It has that same nice blue color that the DC logo has, so it matches in the box really well. But anyway, at the top of here you do get 22 moving parts along with the McFarlane Toys logo. Then of course at the side over here you do get McFarlane Toys once again, Batman and DC Multiverse. Then at the other side you do get the Batman the Animated Series, DC Multiverse, and the McFarlane Toys logo once again. And at the back over here you do get the nice artwork of the figure, and it does say this source is from Batman the Animated Series from 1992. Then of course you get Batman the Animated Series at the top once again. Each figure comes with a collectible trading card, McFarlane Toys logo at the top of there once again, and at the bottom over here you get all the other figures you can collect that's inside the wave. You have to collect Nightwing, Superman, the Armored Superman, the Superman Unchained, Batman, which I have done a review on, so be sure to check that out. And this is pretty interesting. You get the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn figure over here, yet I don't think we got a Birds of Prey Harley Quinn figure. And then of course you do get Harley Quinn over there once again. You also do get the social media for McFarlane Toys over here, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I have an Instagram account. It's at The Darkest Night. Feel free to follow it. Then DC and Warner Bros. Logo down there. And the very bottom over here you get all the copyright info along with the UPC code, and at the very top you get just the window box continuing along. Then as I've said already, in the insert you do get the card and the base over here. You can see that pretty well. I don't want to take it out because it is inside that plastic that will rip the background over here, and I kind of want to keep it all together, so I don't plan on ripping that up, but just so you guys can take a look at that. Pretty cool. And here is Batman outside of the packaging. Now I'm sure all you guys know who Batman is. Very popular character, I am sure. But if you guys don't know what kind of design this is based off of, as I've already said, it's based off of the animated series look. The animated series was basically an animated series that was created in 1992, and it was basically to go off the success of the original Tim Burton Batman film. The series ran on for a while until it created Batman the New Adventures, and then that went into a Superman animated series, and that went into a Batman Beyond animated series, which was very well received as well, and then that went into the Justice League animated series that I remember watching as a kid. It was originally started by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. I believe that Bruce Timm was the one who was behind the art of, like, the art style of the animated series, and then Paul Dini mostly did the writing. But just to go off of it, it was a huge success. Definitely the Batman the Animated Series is one of the most iconic interpretations of the Batman character. And fun fact as well too, I believe that this was the first time that Kevin Conroy did an acting gig for Batman. And if you don't know, Kevin Conroy is Batman. So if this is his first interpretation of the Batman character, it's pretty damn important. Definitely a very iconic version of the Dark Knight. In terms of accessories though, he does come with an alternate pair of hands. He has one hand over here that kind of has the trigger finger, and then there's another hand with the trigger finger as well too. And then he does come with two other accessories. He does come with the grappling hook, and the hook isn't sprawled out like on the original Detective Comics 1000 Batman. I kind of like this a little bit more. And of course he does come with his signature batarang as well too. And this looks pretty cool as well too, pretty thick as well, and it's made out of a nice soft plastic material. And it's not really soft, it's a little bit harder, but the figure over here does come with fisted hands, and you can just grip them off like so, and then you can put on one of the grip hands like so, and then you can put in the batarang, and he holds that pretty well. It's pretty cool. And then he can also hold on to the grapple gun, and that looks pretty cool as well too. Take a look at Batman over here. You can definitely see that Bruce Timm art style in this figure. I do think that they went a little bit overboard on the I guess you would call it the simplistic side of it, because I don't really like the fact that his mouth is just drawn on there. It is sculpted. You can feel a sculpted mouth, but it looks a little too much like it's been drawn on. And I don't know if I like these indents as well too for the eyes. That kind of looks a little bit weird as well. I wouldn't say that stays true to the animated series look, but it's still an interesting look to say the least. And he does have that huge chin as well too, so that's pretty reminiscent to the animated series as well. Do get the ears as well over here too. Those look pretty good. They're a bit of a softer material as well. Not too soft to be falling apart, but that still looks good nonetheless. Bat symbol over here looks pretty cool as well too. This one looks a little bit different from the animated series. It might be crazy, but that looks a little bit different. Maybe if they made it a little bit smaller. don't know. It just looks a little bit weird to me, but overall, not that bad. And of course, you do get that huge musculature that Bruce Timm is known to design. A huge upper body with the shoulders, looks pretty good overall. It reminds me, as I've said in my first look video from ages ago, it looks like an Incredibles design from the Disney movie, but overall, I think that it looks pretty well. It looks a little bit off, though. I'm not sure. I don't think that he needed this big of an upper body in order to match that artistic style. Hands over here, though, look pretty good. Yeah, this arm over here totally reminds me of something out of the Incredibles. I don't know. And then you do see the inside of the hand with the fist. It does have that nice artistic square sort of looking detail. So very reminiscent to a animated series, or to the animated series, I guess you could say. But the belt over here, this is not the belt out of this animated series design. If you look at the back of the box over here, you could see he has that sort of belt that has like the little like round pouches that go on a flat sort of belt. This one over here, I think, is more reminiscent to the New Adventures design. So that's maybe what's been throwing me off with this figure. I can't say I'm too happy about that. I kind of would have wished that it would have followed that design from the original animated series look, but it doesn't overly bother me. I mean, you do get a different shade of yellow on the square part of the belt over here, so that looks pretty cool to say the least. If you're looking at the back too, it does have that same sort of design from the front. You get the bat undies over here, and then the legs that definitely remind me of something out of the Incredibles. I don't really see the animated series looking at this, not at all, because you got to look at this. You got that huge upper body, and then you have those smaller legs, right? So I don't know. It definitely doesn't remind me of something out of the animated series. But the boots over here too, they look pretty cool. I mean, it's just those normal Batman boots with the curve at the top over here, or the spike, or whatever you want to call it. And then you do get the pointed toes over there as well too, but no treads at the bottom of the feet. Then of course, when it comes to the cape over here, you do get that blue insert, and I gotta say, I like this a lot. It kind of has a different feel with the blue over here, and then at the back it's a little bit more smoother, but it has that nice shiny sheen. It has that nice shiny sheen, and looks pretty cool with all the little curves at the bottom, all the little spikes. And it's a nice thick material. I like it a lot. Once again, as I said, I don't think that the Batman from the animated series has that big of an upper body, definitely, especially with those smaller legs over there. Articulation wise though, I do feel like this guy's a little bit lackluster. Head does move up at around that much, so that's not too bad, but can't really move down all that much. He can move side to side, can do a bit of pivot in there. His arm, I'll do it on this one over here because it's a little bit looser than this one, but it can move up around that much with the cape, which is pretty good. It moves with the butterfly joint in there. Then you can move it inward slightly, outwards slightly as well too. And then you also do get the bicep swivel, and I don't know if I mentioned it already, but it can go up and down. And then you also do get the wrist articulation over here. Or wait, did I do the elbow yet? Or we'll do the elbow. Elbow goes in about that much, 90-degree angle, and you get that sort of like clicky kind of texture over here, which is good. I mean, it stops the figure from becoming too loose, so I like the fact that they added that. And of course, it does get the wrist articulation there, swivel, and hinges up and down, and it's kind of on that ball joint where it allows you to move it side to side or up and down. So as I've said with the other figures, the ball joint kind of takes away from the sculpt, but in this case it doesn't really match the adapted materials, so I'm not too upset about it. Diaphragm joint over here does make him move down, not that much, and then he doesn't really move back that much either. He can pivot to one side, but that's also because of the waist joint here, that he can move around that much, then around that much the other way. So not a lot of articulation or whatsoever, but he can swivel, so that's nice. He can kick forward around that much, so that's not bad. Can kick back pretty far, can do the splits as well, that's pretty far as well too. And he does have the double jointed knees, which move in about that far. He does have the I'm gonna break this thing, sorry, ankle articulation, which is down, up, and then pivot, and then he does have the toe articulation, which is just up and down, so that's pretty nice. In terms of height over here, as you can see, this figure does stand at approximately 7 inches tall to the ears. Here he's compared to a figure that I'm sure most people didn't know existed. Beware the Batman. It was a animated series that only had one season, and it fell down again. But it was a figure that they had, I think it was just one season. They were trying it out. And yeah, it was called Beware the Batman. And Mattel came up with a figure for them. And I don't know. Yeah, I thought that would have been a cool comparison between the two. Here he is compared to the older figures. I don't know who they were made by. I'm sorry. I think it was Toy Biz, but don't quote me on that. If you guys know what or how where these figures are made or who these figures are made by, be sure to leave it in the comments down below. I honestly don't know, but it's basically the figures that they made during while the animated series were still running, so you could see the different comparisons between the ages of action figures. And as you can see, I do feel like that this one does carry that design of the animated series Batman more. And here he is compared to the Detective Comics 1000 Batman over here, and as you can see, the comparison between the two, they stand around the exact same height. But overall, I do think that this is a wildly better figure over here. You can even see it through the lighting over here, that this one's just made out of better quality, better paint, as opposed to this one over here. Because as you can see, the yellow does look a little bit weirder in the viewfinder, and the skin tone too looks a little weird. And I get it, they're trying to match with that animation sort of two-dimensional style. So final thoughts with this Batman animated series figure over here. I personally do not like it, man. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Batman the Animated Series. I love what it stood for. I love the story about it. I loved Kevin Conroy. I loved everything about it. But I think it's cool as well, too, to also get it in figure form. But I don't think this figure sort of transferred that design very well. Major screw up on the utility belt over there for sure. That is definitely still throwing me off to this day. And overall, like as I've said already, the figure does look a little bit cheap paint wise. Like you can sort of see it through the shiny black on the cape and cowl, and then the shiny symbol, and then the matte gray all along. And I mean, it's not bad if you're trying to match an animation look, but I don't know, it just kind of looks a little bit weird to me. But yeah, once again, talking about the animation, not just with the belt, it's also the physique of the figure, like the sort of musculature. I know that Bruce Timm's design is supposed to have a abnormally large chest, but this is just way too big for me. Batman should skip chest day once in a while. And as I said, even with the gauntlets too, they look something out of the Incredibles. It doesn't look anything like what you would see out of the animated series. So you know what, if you really want to look at it this way, this is a Disney Batman, all right? This is a Disney Batman. Even with the articulation too. As I said, that head is very limited in movement, probably because of the huge cape and cowl over here, or the like shoulder area, I guess you could say. It does have that rubbery material, and yeah, I guess it's you could see it be hindering from that. Even with the elbows too being single jointed, and then the chest over here with the diaphragm joint barely being able to move. And not to mention too, I don't think I mentioned this, the legs, it's very hard for this figure to stand because of these tiny legs over here with this abnormally large chest. So I really don't know about this figure, man. I really don't know about this figure. Like I just don't want to keep on ranting about it, man. It's just not my sort of thing. I don't really like how this figure turned out. I'd say sculpting is good because it does match that sort of animated style. However, they did miss stuff like the belt over here and the chest being a little bit too big. The articulation, I wouldn't say is very good. It's just not that good. It's also not able to stand very well either, from what I've noticed. And I know it does come with a base, but you know what? I'm not going to be using that base, so it's just one thing to mention for you guys. My main gripe altogether is probably the fact that it's very inaccurate to the animated series look. So when it comes to rating this figure, it pains me to say it, but I'm going to have to give it a 5 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, the accessories are a plus with the figure. I love the fact that we're getting extra hands and the extra grapple gun and batarang. And even the price point with this figure too, it's pretty cheap. I think that they moved the price point of these McFarlane figures down $5. So it's still very much worth it. But when you compare it to the previous two figures that I've reviewed, it is not worth it whatsoever. So main thing I'd say is that if you're a huge fan of Batman the Animated Series, definitely get this figure. But if you're a fan of just Batman in general, you can just pass this figure, man. You're not missing much. And even if you're just collecting the DC Multiverse line, I just pass this figure in. Just pass this figure, man. Because like, I mean, it also comes down to like the usage of these figures and like what you could use them like within your displays. And with this one over here, you could just use it in animated display. There's nothing really much that you could like add it to. You would need to collect all the other animated figures in the line in order to have an actual display with this figure, so there's not much playability there either. So yeah, McFarlane Toys, if you're listening, I just stopped making the animated line altogether. But that's just my personal opinion. I know there's people out there that like the animated series stuff, so I mean, do what you must. I just don't like it personally. But with that being said, guys, if you guys like these McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse reviews, be sure to leave a like right down below. Like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. And while you're down there, be sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought about this figure, and let me know what you thought about my review. And as every YouTuber begs you to do, subscribe, please. With that being said, you guys, like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.